So we want to welcome everybody today to our Aspirational Healthcare Advisors Group. We've got Lou Morin from Savvos Health, who's going to present his solution, really leveraging cash pay to drive down the healthcare costs, especially for anything that's elective in the healthcare system. So Lou, I'm going to turn it over to you and let you go ahead and share your solution.
Yeah, hey, this is awesome. My background is in the broker world. I owned a human capital management firm just headquartered here out of Utah County for 15 years. So we were big into payroll, legal, HR, and our largest division in the Western states was employee benefits. So I come from healthcare from a product perspective, and I had a really unique opportunity in Utah. I was really close to a lot of the CEOs of these local insurance, these regional insurance plans. I spent a lot of time with the CEOs of the local hospitals, and I was in about 40 states when I sold Magellan, but I spent most of my time in the Western states dealing with the issues of healthcare, and particularly when you look at the unintended consequences of the ACA over the past decade and what it's done to pricing and affordability. Really, that was the main reason I sold Magellan, my previous firm, is I wanted to tackle this issue with out of control costs in healthcare. And as we started doing that, it was interesting to recognize there's a real shift in the marketplace right now. When you look at the patient payer provider relationship within healthcare, there's a real movement happening, and most of it's just getting forced upon consumers by what's happening in terms of insurance premiums and cost of care. So from a Savvos perspective, we are immediate cash pay settlement for elective medical care. So we are cash settlement if you got to schedule a medical procedure. 90% of what we do is elective surgical procedures. And it's interesting, if you look at your health plan population, 60 to 70% of every dollar you spend is going to be on scheduled outpatient care, mostly surgeries. And the volatility at the facility level, pricing volatility at the facility level is really the culprit, right? Like the very first test procedure we ran with Savvos was my shoulder surgery. I had a bunch of stuff wrong with my shoulder, ran it through our immediate cash pay platform, and it cost my health plan $12,500. The CEO of that company called me up the next month. He's like, Lou, you won't believe this. I just paid for a shoulder surgery identical to yours, and the cost was 90 grand, right? So the crisis in healthcare doesn't center around the question, well, how do we pay these expensive bills, right? Do we go single payer system and chalk up a $50 trillion price tag? I mean, these conversations are ridiculous. The crisis in healthcare centers around the question, why is the bill so expensive to begin with? And when we can start to zero in on that conversation, guys, everything changes. And really at the heart of that, when we talk about this movement towards cash pay settlement, what we're talking about is on the provider side, on the supply side of healthcare, we're talking about solving for the biggest problem that healthcare providers are dealing with, and that's revenue cycle management. So with Savvos, we have a provider outreach team. And the conversation kind of goes like this. We'll reach out to a surgical center in Indiana and we'll say, look, if you could deliver care today and get paid tomorrow, no complex HCFA forms, no complex contracts, no receivables department, no writing off 40% of what you're billing. If you deliver care today and you get paid tomorrow, what's your best price? And an immediate cash pay settlement, you guys, most of these prices were like below 100% of Medicare. Not that I think Medicare is a great standard of affordability, but it really sort of quantifies what we're talking about. It's unbelievable. We take $20,000 hernia surgeries and turn them into $4 grand, $80,000 cervical disc replacement surgeries and turn them into $12,500. We take ovarian cyst surgeries, go from 60 grand to 6,500 bucks. Total knees from 80 grand to 18,000. I mean, it's insane how we can solve for the biggest problem in healthcare by dealing with the biggest issue on the provider side. So at Savvos, we have this, you can see on my map, I turned off imaging centers. We have a ton of imaging solutions across the country, But imaging's kind of been done. Like there's nothing real exciting about imaging anymore. Everybody can solve for MRIs and CT scans. But for elective outpatient care, scheduled surgical procedures, nobody's built what Savvos has built. We add more solutions to our national map literally on a weekly basis right now. So these are all surgical centers, endoscopy centers. We are now in negotiations with a number of hospitals across the country. Everybody wants to play in this cash pay space, right? Because that's where consumers are moving, whether it's through a creative insurance company or they're in a self-funded employer plan. Every self-funded group out there is looking for cost containment strategies within their summary plan description. If they're not, they're crazy. So there's a huge movement to play in this space, and most providers, they kind of look across this chasm and they see this exploding population and they want to plug into it, and they plug into it through Savvos. We are the front end digital healthcare platform and the back end fintech engine that makes the whole thing work. So Savvos, we work primarily at the payer level. So we reach out to health plans, like TPAs, stop loss carriers, and we launch Savvos to their members. We're now starting to work directly with brokers, and they're onboarding a lot of their groups onto the Savvos portal. So we're doing some fun stuff there, but much of our work to date has been working directly with these third-party payers. We are enterprise level platform for third-party payers. And what these plans do is they push Savvos out to their members as a way to not only control costs for the plan, but usually it's tied to exciting member incentives like, hey, instead of reaching your $5,000 deductible, schedule through Savvos and we'll waive your out-of-pocket costs. And so it becomes this really exciting win-win-win situation all over the country. But just to give you a quick idea, we do API integration for existing apps. We do single sign-on integration. We have, co-branded landing pages and what have you. But just to give you a quick idea, I'm not going to do like a big demo or anything, but if I'm a member and I want to schedule, let's just say it's an ACL repair, we make it so simple for these members to find amazing cash pricing in their local market. We'll let them know what's included in the price, if it's a comprehensive bundle, or maybe it's just a facility price. We have our own Savvos quality scoring system. We benchmark against Medicare. We make it really simple for these members to find a great price. And when they do that, they they can request a consult. They want to come into our platform and they want to connect with a surgeon in a local market. If maybe they have knee pain and they want to kind of get it figured out, or maybe they already know they need surgery. They can just go ahead and launch a procedure within Savvos. When they do that, we collect a little bit of information, but I'll show you here. Let me just look, make sure I've got hold on. I got to turn on my HIPAA privacy and I'll show you something real fast. So this is our back-end admin portal. So when a member launches, you shouldn't be able to see anything here. When a member launches in Savvos, when they request a procedure, they end up within our system. And the Savvos portal, what's unique about Savvos, we connect the member with their health plan. In this case, it was a health sharing plan that we ran this procedure for. And we connect all their providers. So we connect their surgical center, their surgeon, anesthesia if we need to. This procedure we completed like a month ago. The only reason it's still sitting in here is because anesthesia won't take our money yet. They take like 2 months for them to get paid. So it's still kind of queued up in here until we finish paying anesthesia. But what's unique about Savvos is we bring everybody together in one conversation. Right here, this is our what we call Savvos Connect. This is our messaging center. You're not going to be able to see the conversation, but look at this engagement. Over the course of a couple of weeks as we schedule this procedure, the member and the health plan and the providers, they all engage in Savvos. They finalize what's being done. They schedule the price. These providers custom build their prices in real time if there's any need to modify what they've advertised. Like, it's like you're scheduling an ACL, oftentimes you're not just having CPT code 29888. The surgeon's order form might say, well, we also got a torn meniscus. We also got a foreign body removal. So any variations within building out this procedure, we can capture those within our platform. And we can also capture any unique combination of billing codes or a unique combination of providers. You can see here, this wasn't a bundle price. We brought the facility and the surgeon and anesthesia together, and we just built out a custom bundle in a matter of a day. And Savvos handles everything. So when we plug in these payers, in this case, like I said, this was a health share that ran this procedure. We pull the money from these health plans about 5 days before the scheduled procedure date. So in this case, $8,200 was the final settled price. We pull that money, probably on January 5th or whatever. And then as soon as care is delivered, the provider goes into the portal, indicates that the procedure is complete, and then Savvos releases funds. In this case, because we built out the price with each individual participant, we paid them all individually. If it's a bundle price at the facility level, then we just pay the facility and let them divvy it up however they're used to doing it. But with Savvos, we have the flexibility to handle that. Like I said, any unique combination of codes or any unique combination of providers. But the real value to the reason why we have so many providers across the country that are plugging into Savvos is because they're connecting now with hundreds of thousands of members. By the end of this year, it's going to be over 1 million. They don't have to figure out how to bill any of these third-party payers. When they plug into Savvos, they get paid the same way every time, whether the money's coming from Trinity Captive or Bowtie Medical or Zion Health Share or whoever the payer is. It doesn't matter to the provider because it's this repeatable transaction just coming out of Savvos. And they know that they're guaranteed immediate payment from our platform. So we are the engine for cash pay settlements in the third-party payer space. We're very unique in that model because when you look at cost containment strategies across the spectrum, right? You got your standard network, which is garbage, and then your tier 2 skinny network. Then you got your direct contract. Then you've got reference-based pricing, or what I like to call healthcare hostage negotiations. But across that spectrum, ultimately, the most affordable price you're ever going to get is immediate cash pay. I deliver care today, I get paid tomorrow. So for us to bring that payment model into a third-party payer environment is what made Savvos really unique. We were in beta all last year with one partner. In the fourth quarter, we started launching in the markets, and we've since onboarded some of the most prominent health share plans are live with us. A lot of captive insurance groups are live with us. A lot of self-funded plans are live with us. We're becoming the engine for apps like MedZoom and Wow Health. And so we're kind of exploding onto this scene, even though we're still one of the newcomers. But if you're looking for cash pay, cost containment strategies, I promise you we're one of the coolest options for you guys to look at. So I know we were short on time. That's probably the fastest I've ever introduced Savvos, but I'll stop there and turn it over to Daryl or anybody who wants to ask questions.
Yeah, does anybody have any questions for Lou?
Hi, Steve Nielsen here. Just quickly, Lou, I didn't join till about 12 minutes into the presentation. And are you pretty well operative with able to function in Utah? Are you?
Oh yeah, we're in all 50 states, but we're probably, we don't do a lot in the Dakotas or anything, but we're managing procedures all over the country.
Okay. And then on a self-funded employer group, on average, in the first year, what percent of the enrolled members or employees, however you want to do it, on average, use Savvos?
Yeah, that's a great question. I wish I had a year under my belt. We spent last year in beta with one client. This year, we now have a number of self-funded plans that are in our platform, captive insurance groups. Since the last 2 months, if you look at annual utilization on our current self-funded plans, we're running at about 8 to 10% of total members.
So 8 to 10% of total members, we're talking, because of the lack of history, which is just fine, not a problem at all. Estimate 8 to 10% would use Savvos in the first year of members. Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, keep in mind, when you look at like scheduled outpatient care, usually that population is only running 20 to 30% anyway. So our goal is to try to capture, our goal is to try to capture a total utilization of 2 to 3%, and we're thrilled. On the self-funded groups, we have much higher engagement. We're pushing close to 10% of the total population, which is about a third of what they were going to do anyway.
Good for you. That's great.
And Lou, do you have, tell me a little bit about the personal touch that comes with your platform. Are there coordinators or case managers who are in touch with the family or the patient, helping them through the process, or is it all technology platform based?
Oh no, what's exciting is like in this case that I'm showing you that's completed, everything is trying to drive members into a single conversation, right? Like think about when you launch a cost containment strategy and sometimes it's a coordinating dumpster fire, right? But in Savvos, you've got the providers, you've got the patient, you've got the health plan. Well, like I said here, this example is not a traditional health plan, but we also can connect into our portal direct primary care management teams. And you've also got the Savvos team that's fully engaged. So when a procedure launches in Savvos, our team watches it all the way through. So oftentimes, most of the plans want our team to be engaged in these procedures. But sometimes they might say, hey, look, we got care management. You guys can kind of sit on the sidelines, let us do it. We can loop in any number of like DPCs or care teams if they're doing pre-auth or validating, eligibility or whatnot. It all happens right in our portal on the fly in real time. So, but you do get our entire member support team that's engaged in these procedures. Oftentimes we're on the phone on the back end, like, hey, Connie, you got an active procedure. You haven't logged into the portal since, 4 days ago. You got to get back in there, right? So we babysit these procedures and make sure nobody's dropping the ball.
Have you built a back-end satisfaction feedback loop where after the procedure is done, you're gathering feedback from various entities?
Well, we're doing some really cool stuff. We just integrated physical therapy so we can expand the bundle to like a 90-day bundle. So if you're scheduled an orthopedic surgery in a market where we have a PT partner, the system will automatically prompt you to, hey, do you want to bundle in PT? Here's a great suggestion for you. So we do that. But in terms of like outcomes and satisfaction, it's probably the second quarter of this year we're integrating patient-reported outcomes into our platform and kind of general, just like satisfaction scoring. So right now we have, it's interesting, connecting with affordable cash prices in healthcare is a daunting task. What's even worse is connecting with useful quality metrics. Most of that stuff's garbage out there. So we've launched our own quality scoring system. Right now, it's built on a few key metrics like, okay, is the facility an accredited facility? And if they are, what are they AAA? Are they JACO? Just that standard alone takes a surgical center to a whole new level, right? And then we look at their surgeons. Are their surgeons board certified? Are they subspecialty certified? So right now we have kind of this foundation that we work from, but we have a team of surgeons that advises us, and we are launching patient-reported outcomes. We will integrate that into our platform in the coming months so we can start capturing PRO scoring and get a real clinical measure of how our providers are doing in the platform.
Good. Anybody else have any questions?
Daryl, when you
Hey, this is Brian. This is Brian Garcia. Hey, Lucian, I appreciate all the information you're giving here. I'm not in the benefit broker space either, but do some cash paying options. But I've got a couple of folks that may actually be interested in what you've got going on. So if you could maybe get a hold of me outside of this group here or whatever, if that's okay with you, Daryl, and I'd like to introduce you to those guys if that's all right with everybody.
Sure. In fact, everybody should have everybody else's email through the invitation that went out. So Lou, that would be Brian. I think it was Brian Garcia, right? They just asked for that.
Yes, sir.
And
Yeah,
he's
I
with
see
our
you, I
expert
see
tech.
you here in the invite, so I'll shoot you an email, Brian.
Great.
Any
Anybody
other
else?
questions?
Yeah, Frank, I think you had a question.
Yeah, I was just going to ask for contact information as well to learn a little more. I know this is for me, the Cliff Notes version here, but I got to roll. But Lucian, I'll get a hold of you here in the next week or two, learn a little more.
You bet. Thanks for making time. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you bet. We'll see you, everybody.
Thanks, Frank.
Frank.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Frank.
see you, Frank.
Go ahead,
I
Sally.
just know with my own experience that this is amazing and definitely is wow. That's all I got to say is wow. I was just wondering, as we're out talking with employers and we're bringing these different strategies in, I know you mentioned share base and cash base. Are you guys also helping people outside of those non-traditional healthcare?
Yeah, we do. We're a tech startup in Utah, which means you're going to burn through a ton of cash and pretty much kill yourself to get it off the ground. And that was most of last year. So our beachhead landing when it came to launching Savvos was in the alternative payer space. Before we went into self-funded, we went to the health sharing communities, and they love us. We've got a number of awesome health share. We kind of cut our teeth in the health sharing space. And to be honest with you, it's an exploding market. A lot more brokers are connecting their groups with small groups with health sharing solutions. And we have, I think, one of the strongest footholds in that space. We're doing some amazing things for those members, but that gave us the ability to then start dumping resources to going after the employer self-funded space. And so that's where we're really heavy into now and doing a lot of cool things there. So we love that alternative payer space. I think that's where a lot of consumers are going. We don't do direct to consumer right now. We don't do this uninsured space yet. It's a little more complicated. It's a lot clunkier trying to go direct to consumer without a third party payer within the Savvos platform. We're working on solutions to figure that out, but right now our model is built around connecting third party payers with the cash pay marketplace.
That's amazing.
Thank you.
I'm trying to see who Black Aller P is, who's on the call. Introduce yourself, because I'm drawing a blank.
Well, I'll just turn on the light. You remember me now?
Yes,
on the last
with
call,
with Matt's group.
Well, I know Matt,
Well,
but not with this group.
you
Yeah.
came to us through Matt. Yes.
Yeah. Is that better? Is that good enough?
Yep.
Well,
Are
and
you
I would
seeing
just
some of
say
these strategies in the school? Wasn't it school districts that you were with?
Yeah, I just jumped in. I wasn't able to get on the call as quick as I wanted to, so I'm not sure what I'm not even sure what was all laid out here, but
So we were just going over cash pay strategies, and Savvos is a vendor that facilitates elective surgery cash pay transactions.
okay.
So taking advantage of huge savings by being willing to pay up front.
Okay, yeah, we don't do cash. We actually just direct contract with providers ourselves, which it's not true cash pay, I guess. It's still paid through our plan, but
there's a lot of great ways to reduce costs in that elective care space. It's interesting. I would just tell you, if any of you are doing, whether it's like, the kind of tier 2 networks or direct contracting. And again, I think it's all plays a really important role, particularly like I love direct contracting with non-elective inpatient care because it's like that's kind of outside of our model. But for scheduled medical care, it's interesting. I won't mention the name of the company, but we had a large captive insurance offering send us their claims file last month. And they said, well, we've got all these awesome contracts and what have you. Why don't you analyze the top 100 claims in here and let us know how your prices stack up against what we've been paying. And in general, our costs in cash pay settlement were at least 50% cheaper in almost every category that they were paying for those claims. So I'm telling you, if you're looking for cost containment strategies, cash pay settlement will fit into your groups. And what's nice about companies like Savvos is we're a transaction-based model. So there's no PMPM, there's no fixed cost. I think there's a real fatigue in the market with $2 a head and all that, right? Like there's no fixed cost to launch Savvos. We're transaction-based. We add a 10% transaction fee to whatever the final price of the procedure is. So if it's a $9,000 ACL, Savvos makes $900. The health plan pays us, and they have no problems paying us because they're saving a fortune on these procedures. Right. So we're easy to launch, and we play well with everybody else. If you've got a direct contracting platform or a network, or maybe you've got a reference-based pricing vendor that you're using for inpatient hospitalization, we don't care. We align really well with anybody else you've got in your groups. We're not a launch Savvos and boot everybody else out. But I promise you, if you put Savvos into your groups, not only will we save them a ton of money, but the member experience is amazing. In fact, we save our plans a ton of money, but all we hear back is, I've never had an experience like that. They get into our portal and they're engaged with everybody. It's a simple conversation. There's no calling my broker, then calling the health plan, then calling the surgical center, then calling my surgeon. And there's no surprise bill. Everything is approved in advance. Everybody knows up front to the penny how much that procedure is going to cost. It's paid immediately. There's no back end issues. So not only will we save your plans a lot of money, but it's a really amazing member experience. And I think that's where healthcare is headed. We've got to deal with this issue of affordability for sure, but I started by alluding to this issue. The patient-payer-provider relationship is changing in healthcare, and everybody wants a better experience. And that's what Savvos focuses on, is let's just create a simple, exciting, engaging experience that eliminates all the hassle of transacting in healthcare. And you'll find that'll be amazing with your members.
Nice. Lou, thank you. Anybody else have any questions for Lou before we close things down? Not seeing any. I want to again thank you, Lou, for the presentation. I want to just mention that our next meeting, which will be on February 24th, we've got the team. Trenton Olson, who was on the call, I think last time, shared a little bit about his 90 days from retirement resource and services. So brokers across the country, when it comes to some of the older employees who are getting close to Medicare, who don't want to have to deal with the interaction and interfacing with, what happens when somebody gets to that age, they just hand it over to Trenton's group. And Steve, I think you mentioned that you've used Trenton's group and found them to be very helpful and useful to work with.
I certainly have. They know their stuff, and they've been at it for what now? I know time flies, but a long time. They're good people.
So they're going to present their platform. Go ahead, Lou.
I've known Trenton Olson for years, and he's a really good guy.
Yep.
Somebody you'd want to work with.
Awesome. Well, again, thanks everybody, and have a great weekend.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Take care. Thanks again.
Thank you.